This is my review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 230, Sad Man's Parade, and I think this line right here really sums up the entire arc we're having right now. This feels more like a heroic origin story. Though you're still a villain, what good villain wouldn't want to save his friends? Oh god, I mean, yes, this whole thing I've been saying since the beginning, we're cheering on these villains again and again, giving them origin stories, backgrounds, having them overcome their fears and personal hangups to save the people close to them, but they're still villains, even though this feels like the origin story of heroes, and it really makes me wonder where the series is going to go. Like, once everything's said and done, I can't imagine League of Villains is going to win. I just can't. So, are we really going to see the death of the villains? Because, honestly, that just feels too sad. And I've seen, like, fan fiction of after the League of Villains is said and done, they all just get jobs at coffee shops and whatnot. I really can't imagine that happening. I'm just curious to see where it goes. I could literally see, after Shigaraki's defeat, they all go their separate ways and meet up for coffee once a week or something. That'd be pretty funny to me, honestly. Anyway, we finally get some information on this quirk. It can turn one thing into two. You can only make two different things, and you can't make anything new until one of those things disappears. And the double will always be less durable than the original, which is very important here. I mean, we're seeing him make literally tens and tens of thousands of copies of himself in the span of maybe a few minutes. But I don't think he's making all the copies. I think his copies are making copies. I mean, that make the most amount of sense because he thought he was a copy and he made copies. Yeah, so if that's the case, if his copies are making copies, and that means the 5th or 6th or 7th generation are going to be much less durable than the first generations are. I said the last week that this could be the final villain, just literally millions of him just attacking the streets of Japan, taking out people left and right, and citizens, heroes, villains like have to team up and say, alright, let's stop this guy. And if he's so fragile, a small cut could break him, then that'd be much more likely to happen because they don't need to, go full force breaking his bones. They just need to scratch him and he's like, oh, I'm dying! And he'll turn to mush, basically. What else is interesting is that his quirk requires an image and data. So he can't copy those quirk-killing bullets, which really makes him sad because he loves his family and he wants to help them out after they accepted him with open arms. Which, again, I can't imagine this is going to end with all them dying. I just can't see that happening. I don't think there's redemption for them, but I don't think death is how they're going to finish this thing off. Anyway, then we see a Sad Man's Parade, which is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I just love this reaction of this one girl. Mr. Skeptic said we're not allowed to kill the doubler, and there's just an army of him right there, and she's like, oh yeah, we couldn't kill him if we tried, could we? So he just literally fills the entire streets. Literally an entire block he covers with thousands and thousands of himself. That is so hilarious. And they just keep shooting him over and over again, but it's not stopping. I mean, he could literally take out the entire, army of Destro here and now. So, Redestro is a little tease to Skeptic, like, ha ha ha, it looks like your plan failed. And he's like, failed? Me? Have I ever failed in my entire life? I am Skeptic. I am a god. I shall go forth and carry out the next step of my plan. Because apparently getting him to overcome the psychological barriers and making literally 1,000,000 of him was within his plan. Here's hoping that fighting Giganto Machia is also in his plan, because that's happening soon. Oh my god, this line. Dobby, why should I help you? And the guy's like, are you so unfeeling? He's like, no, I mean, just ask those 1,000,000 guys right next to you. Oh my god, I absolutely love this. I just love that he's all talking to himself, Dobby, compress, Toga's dying, you're still kicking? Then he has that line about how good villains help their friends. One guy's like, darn right, well said, me. You guys matter to me. I love this whole dialogue they're having back and forth with all their copies. And he makes a good point, He can make 20,000 copies of all of them. He could literally make an army of Dobbies. I said before, I thought, an army of doubles would be the ones that go over and destroy all of Japan, but They could bring in Dabi's too, or Shigaraki's. Oh my freaking Christ. Imagine a dozen Shigaraki's just attacking UA. Yeah, they're all fragile, but that would not end well for anybody. I still think, Twice is a little better for this because then he can duplicate himself while he's out there and make literally infinite number of himself. But they decide not to double Dabi because then when Giganto shows up, there'll be no one for him to fight. It's like, okay, that's a good plan. I mean, we're going to kick this guy's butt. Nope. The ice villain, I'm calling him Snowman. I said that last week. Literally kills about 2,000 Twices here, which is interesting. Though his attack is so large, it's safe to say that he also killed a bunch of his own people there, which is disturbing. Yeah, it turns out his power is over all ice, so he was able to break a water main, and then you literally turn all the water in the entire city into ice, which concerning, very concerning. He then says that in the future, the Liberation Army creates one's rank in society will be directly tied to the strength of one's meta ability, which I think that's bullshit. I think there is so much wrong with that. I mean, imagine Bakugo in charge of, I don't know, anybody, just because he has a strong meta ability. Meta abilities don't equal intelligence. And this guy's saying, if you're strong, then you'll be in charge of everybody. And what about the quirkless people? Oh my freaking Christ. Can you imagine what it'd be like to be in this society and not have a quirk? At worst, they'll kill you. At best, they'll make you the subject of inhuman experiments trying to implant a quirk into you. And there are people just, born with weaker quirks who are way smarter than people with stronger quirks. Sure, with their intelligence, they can find better ways to use it, but this is literally a society where the stupidest, strongest people will take control, while those with literally any other talents will essentially be stomped into the ground. He even says that their life has no value, which, yeah, this guy's freaked up. I mean, this guy is really freaked up. Unfortunately, Dabi may not have the, skills necessary to beat him. Because as it turns out, the issue with Dabi's quirk is that it burns his own flesh. Which might explain why he has, all the skin grafts on him. Because from using his own quirk, he literally lost that skin. And the longer he fights, the worse this is going to get. He's better for short, quick fights. In long, drawn-out battles, his flesh begins to rot away, and he'll sooner or later die, I suppose. I mean, if it is true, if it is Endeavor's son, this could be why, Endeavor gave up on him, because he realized that he has limits. Limits that he can't overcome, and that will eventually kill him. But thankfully, the good doctor decides to step in and wake up Giganto, because All For One didn't want League of Villains to die. He wants the army, he wants Shigaraki to grow more powerful, and I think Shigaraki is showing his skill and desire a little bit here. He's protecting those beneath him. That's something I'm hoping Makia appreciates. But we'll have to see, So, next week we still have Dabi versus the Iceman. I'm fairly certain, Makia won't show up next chapter. Maybe like the one after that or the one after that. They still need to fight a little back and forth. I really don't think I'd like it if, the whole fight between Dabi and the Snowman just ends with Makia showing up and beating him up. I mean, it would make sense, the whole thing he's spouting. Oh, the people with the stronger quirks are the ones who deserve to live. Okay, well, this guy's stronger than you, so you deserve to die. Again, though, actually it could be interesting, if there's Makia's going out, beating up all the other League of Villains, and it's just Shigaraki versus Redestro. Shigaraki finally, rotting off all his limbs, and then throwing him off the tower with everyone watching. That could be interesting. Honestly, this entire city is probably going to get, paved into the ground. And given the resources the Redestro cult has, I think it'd be really interesting if, they could steal those. The satellites, their money, their finances, all of that. And then, just give basically a news conference announcing themselves as the new League of Villains. That'd definitely be interesting. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Will Dabi have a chance to kick Snowman's butt, or will Makia just save him? Be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time,
peace.